Welcome back to movementprofessional.com. So I want to go through a heel raise progression that you can look at if you're recovering from a calf strain or gastrocnemius strain. And it's just a good assessment to see where you are in the process and how far you still need to go. So when we look at any movement assessment connected to an injury, there's usually four things that I want to go through. One is the movement creating any pain. That's the most important thing to prioritize. And it's not that we want to be afraid of that pain, but we actually want to use it. We want to understand exactly where it starts. So that's going to be step one with all of these progressions. Step two is, as you go through the movement, do you feel controlled enough that you can breathe well? We're not going to go too much into breathing here, but you just want to feel like you're not struggling so much that you're holding your breath. So that would be breath control. Step three, or marker of control three, would be postural control, which could be vast, but for the sake of the exercise here, I'll describe the kind of pinpoint positions and postures that we want to make sure that we're hitting. And if we lose those postures as we go from one progression to the next, we're not ready for that next progression. So it's important to understand where our body might want to compensate, because those compensations will be an indication that we've lost postural control. All right, and then the last thing would be impact control, which is going to be not so relevant with the early progressions, but more relevant as we progress to things where the heel raise turns into like a little bit of a hop or a little bit of jump in how we land. But impact is basically just if you're coming off the ground, how you come back down to the ground, how much control you have. It's going to be usually indicated by a softness of landing. So in all of the progressions that we go through here, those are the four things that we're going to keep in mind. So the first heel raise is just a bilateral heel raise. So we're looking at keeping the feet pretty close together, and I'm going to have you use some type of support to hold on to, because balance will be at play here. All right, so if you look at me from the side, what we want is to lift straight up, and the common compensation here is that the body will want to drift forward, or the butt will want to go back, or there'll just be like a little bit of a lift from the heel, but we don't actually get to the ball of the foot. So where we want to really get to with any heel raise is the ball of the foot, especially the ball of the big toe. It's also very common to go up and kick to the pinky side of the ball of the foot, which is getting our heel up, our heels are coming apart. So we want to try to keep heels close together. They don't have to be touching, but the key is that there is heavy contact through the ball of the big toe. Okay, so this would be phase one, and then impact control here would be demonstrated by being able to come down slowly and not collapsing into the ground. So we want to be able to see if you have no pain with that, if you can keep all those markers of control as you go up, trying to go straight up vertically, trying to get to the ball of the big toe. And then the other thing to feel would be that this is not just about the calves, that you feel the inside of the thighs active, the glutes active, the core active, so that the pelvis doesn't get kicked in a position you don't want. So we want to make sure that we're able to maintain that, and that it's not so hard that we're holding our breath the whole time. Once we can conquer that, then we're going to go to a shift to the one side. So we're not going full one-sided yet, but we're going to just shift to one side by using the other foot as a kickstand. So I'm going to demonstrate this on the left foot. I'm going to have my right toes just lightly touch the ground, and then I want to go up into a heel raise on the left primarily, with just a little bit of toe touch support on the right here. All right, so all the same markers of control will be at play. We don't want it to hurt. We want to make sure that we can breathe, and we want to make sure we get to the ball of the big toe, feeling the same muscles, back of the thigh, the glute a little bit on this side, not kicking forward, trying to go straight up. So the heel raise, the idea is to have our trajectory be as vertical as possible, not leaning forward. Okay, so that would be step two. We try that on both sides, and then we would go, step three would be a full expression of a single leg, and you definitely want to start by holding on here. All right, and then being able to get all the way up, feeling all those markers of control, but now the toe touch support just comes off, and you're just doing one leg at a time, making sure that's okay. The most common compensation you see here when you go from either 2 feet to a toe touch support or just a pure single leg support, as soon as the heel comes up, the knee wants to bend. So we want to make sure that you keep the leg straight so that it's just the ankle that's working around, and we're not compensating by bending the knee, or that turns it into something else. All right, so those would be the 3 modes of progression there. And then you would try each one of them without holding on, which has a whole other balance challenge to it. So I would start all the progressions with some type of support so that balance doesn't become a big issue and it becomes easier to control the posture while holding on. But then you want to be able to keep all those postural cues without holding on and see how that works for you. And you can think of, you would want to do these things before you start jumping and landing, but the heel raise is ultimately just here, and then jumping is just adding to that. So if I can control all the movements that lift my heels and I can feel my feet where I want them, I feel balanced with this, then it should be a lot more realistic and safer for me to leave the ground and land because I've demonstrated control while I'm on the ground. Okay, so hopefully that makes sense. If you have any questions, go to movementprofessional.com. Be happy to answer them. See you next time.